So welcome everybody to this, what looks to be a very fun and interesting panel discussion. And so just a bit of a preamble to this. So within the Pure Product team, we try to be as transparent as possible with our roadmap, but we know that there are many of you out there that have the technical skills, or at least the will, to push a bit beyond that, and to help you solve the problems that are very local to you, or that you have the technical capability to do so, or you just have an interest in seeing what can I do with this data. And my colleague James Toon, the PM for award management, said, I have the perfect quote for this. And the quote is, the best thing to do with your data will be thought of by someone else. So within the product team, we're always thinking about new ways to look at data. We talk to our colleagues at Elsevier, like how can I reinterpret this to bring more value? And then somebody like Soren says, oh, I can do this super quick. So it's always somebody else who will figure out the best way to introduce some innovation. So there are many different ways to extend your Pure for your benefit. This could be a strategy-based decision. This could be a resourcing decision, like how many people do I have on my team? How many publications do I have? But in general, the idea is to support highly automated data collection and sense-making, and to have some coordination across your stakeholders. The Pure admin doesn't work in isolation. He works in collaboration with the personal users, with the heads of department, with the VP of research. But ultimately, it is about making these decisions that are hopefully data informed and at least move the institution forward. So within Pure, we offer a lot of functionality. We have very robust content models that support this. We have an API that Lars manages, and we have integrations with other internal, external systems that actually bring data together, be it in Pure, be it in a different system. But the idea is, how can we push this a bit further? So this panel is dedicated directly to that. How can we push what's in Pure further for our institutional needs? So I'm going to introduce the panel one by one. So for each of the panelists, could you just a 30-second blurb about yourself? And then Lars and I will introduce ourselves. So starting with Aya. Aya, could you introduce yourself?
So hi, I'm Aya Kaitara from the University of Helsinki. I'm an information specialist at the university, and I've been working with Pure since 2010.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Søren. I'm from Aalborg University, and I'm a specialist consultant in our Pure team, and I've been working with Pure for 10 years, I think.
I'm Nick Veenstra, data engineer and research information specialist at Groningen University in the Netherlands. And I've also been working with Pure for around 10 years now.
Yes, and my name is Hanna Våg. I'm from Lund University, Sweden, and I'm the assistant system manager for our Pure installation. And I've been working with Pure since 2013, maybe. Yep.
Wow. And Lars, if you could introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Lars. I'm the PM for our platform and APIs. And I've been with Elsevier since 2013, so give or take as long as you've been working with Pure, so quite some time.
And I'm Thomas Gurney. I'm the PM for the Pure Data Models team. So I'm, just to kick us off and get us introduced to the types of discussions, I would describe myself as data curious. I unfortunately, because of the nature of my work, product management, every time I try to do some vibe coding exercise or I'm trying to figure out some new value, I have to go through the whole GTM, like go-to-market strategy in my head first, and then it's like, oh, this is too much work. But this is what we have to do as a product manager within Pure. We have to make sure that what we're working on brings us value. But each of the panelists here now has 5 minutes to kind of introduce the work that they've been doing. And we've got opportunities to ask, the panel will be asking each other interesting questions. There will be a general Q&A at the end of the session, so don't worry, you'll be able to get your questions in for each of the panelists. So starting with Aya. Aya, would you like to either come up here or use the clicker?
Use the clicker, yeah. It's just one slide, you can click it. Yeah. Okay, so hi. I'm here to, well, this is what we did, and I'm presenting this actually after this session in the room 1. So we had the question on how to improve research project documentation, and we ended up using pure project data as the base of the data submission. And of course, you can't do a project like this without modeling things properly, so there's maybe a little bit fuzzy picture of you can't read it, but on how the data flows between different services, and so that's what we've been doing. And you can click the next one. It's.
Oh, that's. Hang on a second. We got 5 minutes, so we're gonna now ask you some deep questions about this.
Okay. Well, I will tell then the last point of the slide that we had. The idea here is that you get the pure project data, and then the researchers can submit the documentation that describes the responsible information management in their research projects. So maybe this is kind of the first time that we've taken pure on the level of the actual research. So not doing reporting, not doing communication, visibility stuff, but doing stuff that the researchers actually have to do for their funders, for legislation and other requirements. So this service is trying to fulfill the promise of demonstrate responsibility and be compliant in regards to all the requirements there are. And also kind of the end point of this service is that you can create the ethical review request when you need to do when you need an ethical statement for your research. You can then use the documentation to create that request.
Yeah.
So is that 5 minutes?
No. Maybe time for a question. So,
Yeah.
So Lars and I have some questions for you.
Okay.
So you're using the Pure API to pull data out of your
Yeah.
Pure, the project data.
Yes.
How was that experience to get that going?
Well, it works very nicely. So what we do is that we update the data to this My Research service during the day, once an hour, and then we do weekly updates of the full data, and it works very nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any advice to the audience here as to how do you get started on that? I mean, we have lots of documentation around the API, but again, reading documentation is not the same as doing.
Well, you need actual use cases and write those use cases properly, and then build on that. So you get. I'm not a technical person, so I get assistance with this. How this is done, I just say that okay, I'd like to have this piece of information to be transferred to this service. Can you do that for me, please? And that usually happens. So one question here is the question of the data access and the privileges. So the new service we built is confidential. The content in that service, the documentation service, is confidential. And what Pure currently is, it is, in our university at least, we are not handling it as a confidential system. So what Data Pure has, it's either open or open within the university. And that's kind of an issue that we need to now think about, maybe again, that maybe we should treat the Pure API also as confidential, and because it is actually possible for researchers to add confidential research project information in Pure. So that's an issue that we need to solve, but now we are treating it as open within the university.
Excellent. Thanks, Aya.
Yeah.
Nick, if you could introduce your project.
Yeah, so the last 2 years we've been building our data warehouse or data lakehouse or whatever you call it these days. And the top diagram is kind of a simplified version of what we've been building, and we actually delivered it like 3 weeks ago. So as a project we decided to have like a single source of truth and create a data warehouse where we extract data from all the sources we have: Pure, Scival, Scopus, OpenAlex, a bunch of funders, other like university systems. And we use Azure architecture to get everything out. We're using logic apps Then we put it in a SQL database, just all the raw JSON. And we started out with using Data Factory to parse everything out into like structured format. But halfway switched to Databricks because Databricks is just awesome. And they do a lot of innovative stuff with AI. They're going so fast. Yeah, I mean, on a daily basis, there's interesting new stuff in it. So, and it also, so the original idea was we supply at RUG, the Groningen University, we create like dashboards with Power BI, and then we also relay the data to the hospital, the UMCG, and they have their own Power BI team, and they also provide dashboards to management there. But now that over the last 2 years, the whole AI exploded, so we see all these kind of new use cases, and we're getting questions like, oh, can we maybe automate some stuff with pure validation or pure import? And so we're going to do a follow-up project on that, use agentic AI to see what we can do there, have some agents collaborating on loading data into Pure. And so we also saw like, okay, we can also start doing data quality enhancement from our data warehouse, and we can also start providing AI services. And then also at UMCG, the grant support office asked us to, can we use AI to help, because it's apparently the team there is one of the smaller ones in the Netherlands, and then you're starting to lag behind on acquiring grants. So they asked, like, can we also use AI to get more grants in, basically? And that's, I mean, that's really cool, challenging questions to make things more efficient and also see the result of that, hopefully, at the end of that. So, yeah. And then, so the other schema is a kind of a bit that was discussed by you this morning, Lars, about like supporting enterprise architecture with Pure. But now now that we have our data warehouse, I keep thinking, where is this all going, and what would be the ideal situation for us? And I think for a lot of people, Pure is still kind of the center of their whole ecosystem. And then you see all these people getting upset about like the portal and the reporting module, and it's not working, and we are basically getting the data out, and then the people frustrated with some reporting things that don't work anymore, they come to us and they say, can you deliver us that report? So things are starting to shift a bit once you get your data out. And then people always tell me like, yeah, it's easy, Nick, you're a technical person, so you can do that. But I mean, the amount of AI I'm using to build stuff now over the last years, it's just amazing. And I think that in a few years' time, a lot more people are being, like the tagline you have, empower, like AI will empower a lot of people to do smart things with Pure. But then I'm thinking, what will we still need Pure for? I think the most important thing is like a good data model, data quality, and also a very good API. And we should go into that later, I think.
Yeah, excellent. Lars, do you have any questions for Nick?
So what kind of challenges did you run into when you set out to build this?
Well, it's mostly you start noticing small things about the data model and how things are structured, and you kind of get the idea that it's kind of separated out. Like if you would like rebuild Pure from scratch now, it would be like a very efficient database with like support for vectors and AI stuff, and then you build an API on top of that, and then you build your portal and your reporting on top of the API, and that would make it much more efficient. And then you see now that it's kind of separated. So there's some things that the portal can do, but the API cannot do, like the search stuff. And also, if you have like sensitive information, such as the employee ID from the Pure API, you can only get out all the IDs. You cannot say, I don't want to see the employee ID, because it's like a private, a personal identifier. And so it's in the little things that you cannot really filter or provide security, and then you have to like think about workarounds to solve those kind of things. Because we put everything in the cloud, so a lot of people are concerned, like, what are you doing? And it's like Microsoft Cloud. We have all this discussion about digital autonomy and sovereignty. So we have to do a lot of explaining about what we are doing. Yeah. And then sometimes you have to take shortcuts or fix stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. And perhaps one last question. So given the scale of this project, who did you need to be in the room to get this approved?
Well, not a lot of people actually. I mean,
That's great.
I mean, the funny thing is, it was like an innovation project for the library where we are situated, and I guess the IT department thought, oh, they're just will come up with the plan, and then we will build it for them. And we were like, no, we will build it ourselves. So they were kind of bummed out about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like everybody was seeing the need of, we need like this, especially if the university is about like digital autonomy and sovereignty, you can't really say, oh no, but like let's leave everything in their own like silo. So yeah, I guess that was like the right momentum to start building those things. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So moving over to Soren. So I'm not sure if anybody follows Soren on LinkedIn, but please do, because Soren is always posting very cool Python scripts on how to manage data, how to get ROR IDs. And Soren, I looked at one of your last posts on LinkedIn to see who'd liked it. I think almost everybody on the product team had liked it, and I think most of us were actually from the product team. But sorry, go ahead, Soren.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I don't have a complicated flow chart on this slide, but what I've been up to is that yeah, for the past couple of years I've been developing a bunch of lightweight tools and scripts around Pure, you know, to fix things in Pure, to do cleanups, to monitor data quality issues, and yeah, to automate some tedious tasks that we were, you know, that we spend a lot of time on cleaning manually, and yeah, we wanted to figure out a smarter way to do that. So it's mainly powered by AI in the sense that, you know, AI has sort of accelerated our ability to build this stuff. I mean, I'm not a classically schooled developer or anything. I studied social sciences, but I have a lot of knowledge about the pure data model, and, you know, a lot of curiosity around how can we optimize the product and you know, the value of the data we have in Pure. So yeah, currently I think I have around 50 projects ongoing in various directions. Pretty lightweight stuff, but I believe stuff that can actually benefit us a lot in terms of cleaning data and, you know, adding more value to Pure. Some examples here. A couple of these are not in production. One of them is a classifier which tries to classify the type of external organization in Pure based on heuristics and with the fallback logic to a language model, which then tries to classify the type of external organization and write back the type to Pure and leave behind a note saying why was this changed. Another thing we've been playing around with is a researcher bio generator. So the idea is here that you can input your ORCID as a researcher, and then it will fetch data from OpenAlex and ORCID, and then you can use it to create a bio for various contexts, you know, for a conference or for a sort of layman's description of who am I as a researcher. And then the researchers could eventually load this into Pure or use it for other use cases. The third idea here is what I call an AI metadata assistant, which connects to Pure and to other sources. And the idea is to provide a platform, you know, to be able to, as an example, translate abstracts, generate layman summaries of research, and yet just, you know, overall improve the metadata quality in Pure. So the vision here sort of is, you know, to try to create some sort of toolkit where we can connect data in Pure with external sources and improve the quality, combine automation and AI in a responsible way, yeah, and support both us as admins and our researchers.
So as a pushing you towards the product management side of these things, who's your typical target audience? Are you building for yourself, or are you building for your actual Aalborg University users?
Well,
I mean,
both
yeah.
I would say. hopefully, the things we do benefit us as admins, because we can save a lot of time on manual cleaning in Pure, which is of course also a benefit to our researchers, and also in terms of showcasing our data on the portal. I mean, it's just nice with good data, right? So I think it benefits all of us.
Awesome. And so we've talked a little bit more about Gen AI in general. Are there any? This is a more higher level discussion about Gen AI. What are some of the precautions? Because you are using a closed LLM, like an institute specific ChatGPT, or using public ChatGPT?
It depends a bit on the use case. So if I send any of our data to an LLM, I've been using a local model and also only been using already publicly available information because I think we have a consideration about sending confidential applications, as an example, to a language model, OpenAI as an example. That's probably something you want to consider before doing. So yeah, that's definitely a consideration, to what data am I actually sending, and where am I sending it to, and what's it being used for.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Søren. And last but not least, Hannah.
Yes, I went the other direction from Søren, so I added a complicated flowchart to be part of the gang. I saw the other one slides first, and then I added it. Thomas said something that there are people with high technical skills, and then there are the people with the will to do things. And I'm the one in this panel with the will. So I'm not actually the one that is do the most technical things at our university, but I hope I can share some insights on how we think, because we do a lot of things, and we have it's an actual complicated flow chart. I haven't made it up. It's actually how we add things into Pure. But I just thought I could hijack this moment when I'm sitting here to talk a little bit about automatization versus quality and finding the balance, because I really think that there are a lot of things that we can do that is beside the roadmap in order to complete and make the data in our system more valuable. But I also think that when talking about finding ways to automatically pull in things or add things or clean things outside Pure, you're also in it's a thin line between what you actually want to achieve, because there is something about data quality in relations to institutional CRIS systems, and there is something else with data quality in general databases. What I have some different. We have been working with the ROR ID, for instance, pulling them in, doing them, or extracting all our external organizations. And for those of you who know me, I love the external organizations. And then we have matched them with the ROR IDs. We've made complete matches that we could use the write API to write back right into Pure. And then we did fuzzy matches where actually the human eye had to go in and do the quality check. So yeah, that was my hijacking of the of the slide, and not hijacking, but I really wanted to lift that we can do automations so far.
There was before the slide was sent to the committee, you had a fantastic graphic of a hippopotamus with a bird eating the tick off it. So
yeah, I removed that because you didn't understand it, so I thought...
the way I saw it was this giant hippopotamus, this giant database, and you are the little bird picking out value from...
No, actually, I had a picture of a hippopotamus and a bird, and that was my way of trying to show that data in a general database could be see a lot. But when it comes to an institutional repository, institutional CRIS, you can't only think about the whole hippopotamus. You have to consider the bird on top as well, because and you have, when you look at the data, you need to know what is the bird and what is the hippopotamus, and it's very hard to do that when you go into no offense, Scopus or anything else. I mean, it doesn't really matter if the data is like 80% accurate, but in an institutional CRIS, you can't have 80% accuracy. You have to have close to 100% accuracy, otherwise you have loads of emails coming in your way. We have 10,000 public profiles in our Pure system, and 20% with angry people who got mistaken for a hippopotamus when they identified themselves as birds. That is a shit week for me, actually. So, yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so one of the reasons I invited Hannah on this panel was exactly her willingness to try and explore different methods. And
yeah, I got the blue dragon. So next year I would like to have a hippopotamus. Thank you, Elsevier.
But listening to Aya, to Søren, to Nick, and listening to what they've been doing, is there a step that you would have liked to follow or shadow them specifically to learn more about?
Yeah, there are plenty of steps, but I also incline to what Nick said, that I really also think that we shouldn't step away too much away from Pure, because if we remove all our data, we create these extra things outside Pure, then what do we need Pure for? I mean, we are in, many of us at least, have this because we want a whole solution. So, and that is my third point that I actually didn't even mention now, that I think that we shouldn't maybe go for any more improvements. We have the core thing is to fill in the metadata gaps that is already there. We should have a portal that is connected to the core functionalities of Pure. We should have an API that covers every aspect of the core functionality. We should have a reporting module who does that. So yeah, I love to have good data in the system, but I really think that focus should be put on where is the developing at Elsevier's side, in order for not to have all these people doing so much outside. Yeah.
Good point. So now we're going to open up the questions to the audience. We've got some at least 10 minutes to. So if anybody has any questions for the panelists.
Yes.
Thanks. And I think maybe this is a question for Søren and Nick, and it relates to what Hannah just said as well. So Søren, you seem to think that the future is inside Pure, while Nick, if I understand you correctly, Pure has pretty much been reduced to a registration interface, and then you do all the heavy lifting outside. Is that, or perhaps I'm perhaps not quite so, but where do you see these things differently, it seems?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at what the function of Pure is, I always try to explain it like you have this whole chain of information building up, and you go from research idea into like the impact, and then Pure is exactly in the middle. It's linking up like the stuff after the impact and what comes before the projects and the funding, and that's what it should. It's the core function. And what I'm getting a bit worried about is that Pure is becoming kind of a Swiss Army knife that can do a whole lot of things and workflows and nothing really good. So at first, I mean, sorry, that's maybe a bit like it needs to do the storing the research output and enabling us to link everything efficiently. That's the core functionality of Pure. And I see all this stuff appearing now that I think like, oh, there's so much other stuff that needs to be finished. Like I saw the API roadmap, and then search is like at the bottom. I'm like, why? I mean, and then in the portal it was like somewhere on top, like, oh, we have new search stuff in the portal, and again I think like, why? I I mean, this is all going in the direction of agentic AI, and we need a layer, like we need an MCP layer on top of Pure so that AI can just talk to Pure, but that needs restructuring of the data model and a way better API that can search stuff. So those are priority things, and then you see all these like integrations with other Pure systems and stuff, and then there's also workflows that we have other systems for on campus, so it would be better to have a good integration and not do that. And so, and then now that we are taking data out to create our dashboards, I mean, we sometimes have to do stuff because we can't really do it inside of Pure. So we just take everything out and do it better. But I don't want to say like we don't need Pure anymore, but you do start thinking about what's the actual core of Pure that we still need. That's it's more of a concern that I'm saying like, oh, we won't be needing Pure anymore. It still has an important function. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to some of these points, and especially around, you know, in a perfect world, you know, in Pure you could have the whole process of research, right? You have an idea as a researcher, you have the whole pre-award phase to overfunding, to outputs, and to impact eventually. And you know, Pure can support this in a structured way, but I think we need to have Pure do this in a smarter way. We can't, you know, rely on researchers relating everything in Pure. That just doesn't happen. And we can go to Scopus, or we can go to Crossref or OpenAlex, and we actually have structured links between grants and publications, as an example, and data sets and organizations and so on. So I think we need to, you know, in Pure have better support of this in order to you know, use the strength of Pure, which is the relation between, you know, idea to impact eventually.
All right. Any other questions from the audience, please? Certainly. Oh, I love the exercise of doing this.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I wonder, when you do the different AI solutions, are you only using the metadata within Pure, or are you also passing the eventual full texts of the article and so on?
Well, we're already thinking about it, because now that we have all the metadata in our data warehouse, it would be relatively easy to also get all the full text there, and then you kind of already have a repository again, and then we can start analyzing the full text with AI as well, and then do like classification and translation. So we're already looking into that stuff, and just doing small things with abstracts because it's much cheaper, and it's all very intensive to like do the entire full text body of our university, but it would be very cool to do that kind of things, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, full text holds value in the sense that, you know, abstracts are probably AI generated anyway, so going to the full text and vectorize that, I mean, would be an interesting path to explore.
Thank you so much. Is there a central place where all those tips and tricks around Pure are unified together? I would expect that there's a community and a lot of solutions done by customers, etc.
Currently not at the moment. So my closing slide, which is a couple of slides from now, is really about speaking to the panelists directly, and follow Søren on LinkedIn. It's fantastic stories. But the idea is, I think, actually this is a really good question for Nick and Søren. So Søren, you're very vocal, not very vocal, but you find lots of joy in sharing these scripts. Like you really like, this is for the community. But Nick, I see yours is more of a, I'm building an infrastructure here. This is serious work. I mean, it's also. And so, in terms of sharing your learnings with the community, do you have different strategies here?
I mean, you have your GitHub, and there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we tackle some of the same challenges, and we all use Pures. I mean, why not share whatever is possible? You know, someone might use it, and also, feel free to improve any of the stuff that I do. There's definitely room for improvement.
Yeah. And I don't really have Soren's patience to explain it to everyone and put it on GitHub. So I have all these ideas and then do something and something else. So, but now that we have AI, I think we can also, a lot of people ask me, like, how do I start with AI with all of this stuff? And then, just open up ChatGPT and start asking questions. And like, it gives you like a step-by-step program. I want to improve something, and then it's like a lot of people are afraid to start using AI to start fixing something that you have in your actual work. That you, and before you know it, you're like you're vibe coding your own solution, and you go from there. And I think a lot more people will get empowered to build their solutions. And then I wonder, how are we going to coordinate all of that if everybody's going on with their own ChatGPT project, fixing stuff in Pure? That will be crazy, like in a couple of years, probably.
Yeah.
So I'm with the North American Pure Users Group, and I think we have some people that don't use the portal as the portal's been built. Like I've not looked at your portal, but I kind of get that idea that you're just using the data and doing your own thing. And then we've got people like me who use the portal. Exactly. So across the panel, how do you use the portal? Is it you? I mean, I know the first two, Soren and Alna. How do y'all? Yes. So how do y'all use the portal? I mean, is it just as the portal is, or do you just use the information out of it to populate other things?
Well, the portal is just to showcase your research, and I think, personally, I think it's been a good support for the researchers that they have like automated way to get a website that they can then share. And I think people have been in our university quite happy with that. But I also took a look at the university in US, and I can see that quite a lot of the universities use the research portal as an institutional repository. So there are those who use it similarly as we do in Europe, but also for us it is the case that we do have the links to the full texts but in the portal, but then we do have a separate institutional repository. Yeah. But researchers are happy with it. So.
Thanks, Aya. So there's one more slide here, and unfortunately in the translation it didn't really get... so this is a slider. Pure is, we have two sides to it here, where Pure takes a platform approach. We are part of your much larger ecosystem, and you build on top of Pure, or a single point solution product where we ship all the features that you are interested in. So for the panel, what belongs natively in Pure? Nick, you mentioned earlier about relation setting, that's the core value that Pure adds. Is there anything else that you think belongs natively in Pure versus I will build on top of it in my own infrastructure?
Well, as I said, I mean, it's primarily about research results, output, and then a good way of like linking that to what comes before and what comes after. That's the most important thing for me.
For us, natively in Pure, we have research projects, research infrastructures, and then research outputs. And everything else comes from another source.
Okay. Yeah. And perhaps directed to the audience now, just by a quick hands up, I'll come back. Just a quick hands up, Hannah, and then for those who see Pure as being part of their larger platform infrastructure, just put your hands up. And for those who'd like to see more of the functionality concentrated in Pure, put your hands up. Yeah, sort of. Okay. No, it's interesting to see. Maybe the question isn't clear enough to. Okay. Yeah. But Hannah, maybe you could talk about your side.
No, but I just want to answer that question and actually Melody's question as well, because how we use our portal is very much as one solution communication tool for the entire university. And since we are a vast university, this is very important. And that's when this scale is actually a little bit, it's dangerous, because if we think that we are providing a product, but instead we are providing a platform for the university. Are you following what I'm meaning? We have to know what we are dealing with. Are we buying something that we should build upon in order to get maximum? Then we can't really complain about the new Pure portal, or we can't complain about anything, because then it's our own doing. So I would say that this is you need to have both. You need to, but it needs to be clear from Elsevier's side, what are we actually sharing or delivering? Yeah.
Which has been one of the great things about Pure.
Yeah.
Is we can make it our own and how it works best for us.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been the same across, but if I go to yours, I can pretty much navigate and see what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. So that is one of my favorite things about Pure.
Yeah. Mine too. Mine too. I do like our installation and how we.
If I go to anyone who has Pure, I can pretty much find what I'm looking for, because even no matter how they build it.
Excellent. So, sorry, would somebody else like to? Passing the baton?
They refuse to take the microphone. It's going to be a big mistake, because then I'm going to keep it.
Yeah. So some of the key takeaways, I wrote these very much here, and they didn't object. So I think these are relevant. A lot of the innovation that we see from the panelists, but also from other speakers, we've seen some very interesting presentations yesterday about innovation being user-led, and how Pure can be used as a springboard, whether it's part of your larger ecosystem or as a standalone, the spider in the middle of your web. But as Søren has pointed out, as Hannah has pointed out, you can start very small, and you can start today. You have access to the API. You can create an API key for your needs. You can work on public data, and you can spin up ChatGPT, ask it what to do, or whatever your LLM of choice is. So the opportunity is there to start immediately after the session, if you so choose. So maybe some last questions before we wrap up.
Yeah. This is probably mostly for you, Nick, and also to you, Søren, to some extent. So yeah, vibe coding is great for velocity and building something quickly. But as this kind of scales up, like, how do you maintain these solutions and ensure that they're testable and they go through version control, and that you don't introduce bugs and regressions as you add more functionality?
Well, for my part, the stuff I've built is not super complicated in the sense that I use like strict version control and so on. I use Git, of course, and I document what I do. I always, if I write back something to the API, I do logs in order to see what was modified. And of course, the most important one is start in your staging environment before going to production. Because sometimes you end up deleting a bunch of stuff, or at least in the beginning, so yeah, an important point, always test it, of course, and do logs.
Yeah, and for our BI infrastructure, it's kind of hard because I come from a team of 6 people at Eindhoven University, where one did the version control, and everybody had their tasks, and now it's just my colleague Julie, who's over there, and me building this, and we have a hard time. We should really keep up with doing the version control stuff, but it's just the 2 of us. Can we just agree and then move on? So that introduces a risk that later on we were like, we should have done this differently, or maybe we should have structured a bit more. But now you kind of, for that stuff, you cater for a larger team, but now it's getting more, there will be more and more AI taking things over. So I wonder where it will go in terms of that. You used to have big development teams and a lot of structure, but I don't know where this is going. I mean, there's already also a lot of people, if I tell them like, oh, we're doing a lot of AI, they get skeptical and like, oh, AI is injecting all this like secret code in your data warehouse, and is that okay? And then I'm like, no, but you do need to be able to read the code to some extent to see what it does. And I mean, usually if it runs, then I'm like, okay, but a lot of people exaggerate like how about the quality, I guess, and it's not. The most important thing that's coming up now is that, like prompt engineering. If we're going to do stuff with AI, you really have to explain to AI what you want and what the guardrails are. And I think that will be the main function of a lot of people in the library. But sadly, they don't see it yet. I try to explain it to them, but like prompt engineering and good data will be like the foundations of like the library of the future, I guess. And yeah, how all this like quality control and stuff will be in there, I don't know yet.
Yeah. Excellent. Any more questions? If not, I'll just, if you want to learn more about this. So obviously, first steps to learning more about the Pure API, visit the Pure Help Center. There's some great Rapidoc format if you want to learn more about what is GET, what is POST, what endpoints are available, things like that. You just add your Pure URL in there and then add the web service Rapidoc in there, and you get a great interface that you can test against. And of course, please reach out directly to the panelists. We're not going to stand in your way. We're not going to act as intermediaries. Reach out to them directly, but also reach out to others who have had great presentations. So that's it.